Typical day is getting into the office, going through all the voicemails and seeing who's called in and scheduled a inspection for the day or the next day.
Probably tomorrow would work better.
We have a lot of walk-in customers from 8 to 9 in the morning that will come in that want to do a project, and they have a few questions. Want to make sure they're proceeding right, going down the right path, and can they do what they want to do. Might be a small addition, might want to enclose a garage, and they're just looking for information from us to answer the questions of how they need to go about it and what's the easiest and most economical way to go about it. And from there we'll move out and do our inspection.
Building inspections.
They did not meet the clearance of 6'8" originally when we tried to come for a final inspection. So they had to do some modifications to get the steps in compliant. And that is for head injuries coming down steps, to give a taller person adequate room to not hit their head and so forth. And then after that, we'll still check and make sure we have a constant size. And this one here is 7.5 inches, to make sure the steps are equally spaced, because this can be a tripping hazard if you don't check and you get one that's 2 inches out of the other. Size of the windows adequate for emergency egress. You're taking your job very serious to make sure the home is safe, and that the structure is built adequate per code to withstand storms and seismic reactions, in our area, wherever you're at. So it's a job with a lot of responsibility, and you have to take pride in it to make sure that you're helping protect the citizens and the people that live within your area. To make sure it's tight and you're not going to have any carbon monoxide coming in into your home. This house has passed. The final inspection for us, we place a sticker on the meter base, and then the homeowner is allowed to have power turned on.
On this one here, we're on commercial inspection. We're looking at the screw pattern for the exterior sheathing. We're also verifying what the engineer has designed for the structural framing, that the gauge is what he called out for, and screw spacing. On retrofits like that, renovations on exterior buildings, we want to make sure that the structure that's existing will withstand and hold the added weight that this contractor and the owner of this building's adding to it. And we also want to make sure it's going to be able to withstand 100-mile-an-hour winds, because we don't want any new structure for pieces to be blown off and do damage to other people's structures. And from this one, from what we've already previously walked, the screw spacing, the gauge, the clips, the screws all meet what Mr. Marshall has designed for this retrofit to have. So this is a framing pass that's passed. They'll go to their next stage of adding their vapor barrier to it and taping the seams before they proceed on with the stucco on this renovation.
And then in the afternoon, we're logging in a lot of the results from the inspections and doing follow-up calls for additional information that we might need from a testing lab, or information from a product that a contractor might be trying to use that we're not familiar with. And when we're able to work with them and work with the other trades and accomplish something in a smaller amount of time quicker, it's a good feeling. You feel like you're being a team player and helping the business side of our community.